We are recording, just checking. Okay, morning everyone. So starting in a comfortable seated position, cross-legged or thereabouts. And as usual, taking a moment to start to feel grounded, or at least bring some presence to the practice. So just taking a moment to settle. Encouraging the shoulders to soften and the jaw to soften. Just check that you're allowing the belly to be nice and loose. Obviously, we do work with the core a lot in our practice, but at the moment, just allowing the belly area to relax and soften and inflate on the in-breath and naturally deflate on the out-breath. So allowing the breath to fall in and fall out without you having to control. And just closing your eyes just for a few moments. With the eyes closed, just make a note of any sounds around you, whether they're natural from nature, birds, or whether they're electronics or cars. Just listening, just taking in the data of the sound. And then just noticing the sensation of your body being held by the earth. Just noticing that, just literally feeling your groundedness. Just feeling that fact of that connection between you and the earth. And maybe feeling into the idea of the steadiness in that. And the strength that it gives you too. And then opening your eyes, rolling the shoulders both ways. Just noticing how that helps to loosen up the upper back, shoulder blades. And then taking your arm, bringing it over the body and just encouraging a gentle stretch. Keeping the spine long, keeping that slight tuck of the chin. And the other side. Again, just a gentle stretch at this point, keeping this shoulder down, lots of space between the ear and the shoulder. And then again, just rolling the shoulders one way and the other way. And then taking a breath in, floating the arms up as you breathe in. And then a gentle, long breath out. And again, breathing in. I'm breathing in through my nose and out through my mouth. That's comfortable if you don't have a blocked nose or anything, you can do the same. And again, also making quite a loud or a definite, if not loud, noise on the out breath. And again, rolling the shoulders one way and the other way. And then we'll come into a side stretch. Just really, imagining you're a cat having a wonderful, satisfying stretch down the side there. And the other way. And then back to center. And then popping your legs out in front. And then just pushing, starting to have a bit of a stretch down the whole back of the legs. Keep the body upright, keep that sensation of the head floating or being connected by a ribbon, a bit of length down the back of the neck, but still fairly relaxed in the upper body. So that kind of push, it's like more tension in the legs than in the upper body and the face, which remain relaxed. And then we're also starting to engage the core as we're sitting upright in this position, belly button starting to move back towards the spine, slight engagement of the abs, slight engagement of the pelvic floor as well. So just pushing with the feet there. And then widening the legs just a little way, staying upright, staying with that engagement of the core, and keep pushing with the feet. Staying here for a few breaths. Keep the face relaxed. And really work with the idea that your body is in that right angle, so you're not leaning forward and you're not leaning backwards. You've got this natural uprightedness, this right angle that's made possible by the strength and the stability of your core. And this time we are going to take our hands just to give us a bit of support behind us, and we'll lift the chest a little way now and then widen the legs even more. And this is so that we can start to work with some flexibility in the hips, and we do this by turning the toes in and gliding the feet back a bit so you can see that better. Gliding the foot towards the other and then out. Gliding, turning the toes in towards and then gliding out. In towards and gliding out. Keep going. Not too fast, not too slow, turning attention to how that feels in the hip. If you're feeling any pain, then reduce the extent, the length of the movement. Don't do anything that causes you extreme discomfort. It will feel perhaps like a bit of a challenge, and that's just fine, but not pain. Let's do one more in each direction. And then bringing back to the start position, taking a breath. And then the other side. And as usual, we're not symmetrical, so you might feel that one side feels more open and this feels like less of a challenge than the other. Keep drawing that belly button back. Keep lifting the chest slightly. Keep the breath steady and regular. And see if you can encourage the breath to be a little slower. Sometimes when we're doing something that's a bit difficult, we have to think about what we're doing. Our breath might start to speed up. See if you can encourage it to remain steady and slow. One more each way. And then just back to a kind of hip distance apart. Do some circles with the ankles. One way, and then the other way. And just bringing up the knees, bringing the legs in for a hug, drop the head, feeling a stretch behind the back of the neck. And just staying there for a few breaths. Deliberate breaths down into the belly. And then release. And then still working with the hips, we're going to come up onto all fours. And we're going to do our best impression of a dog going to the toilet. Can't think of a better way to describe this. So we're bringing our leg out at a right angle to our hip, or that's the intention anyway. And literally, I'm looking at you, but you keep looking down towards the mat. And we're just holding it there. I come at a different angle so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm trying to keep everything level with my body. So my leg's not up, it's not down. It's all level with my back and my hips. I'm just gazing down to the floor. It's just a static position, no movement. And then bringing that knee down, maybe just rocking the hips side to side. And then doing that on the other side as well. So we're lifting up the leg to bring it to the same height as the back. And again, not up, not down. Let me show you from that position as well. And we're just holding it there, looking down. Steady breaths. One more slow breath in and out to hold it there. And then bringing the knee down. And again, we're just going to have a squeeze, just as we did just now. So we're bringing everything in. So we brought everything out and opened it. And now we're bringing everything in, having a squeeze, knees to chest, drop the head, stretch at the back of that. You can even take the hands, put them behind the head to encourage a bit of a stretch there. And then release, and then bringing yourself up to standing. You might want to shake out the hips a little. You know, put yourself in some unusual positions. So just circle the hips maybe, roll the shoulders, encourage everything to fall back into place. And then we're going to be standing with our feet a hip distance apart. And to begin with, let's just lift up the toes, wiggle them, deliberately stretch them about. Maybe looking down at them, because you'll see that some toes have a tendency to stick together. Just see if you can just encourage them to spread out in the way that you can with your fingers. It's really hard because they're so used to being bunched up together. But just encourage, stretch, wiggle, see what you can do, just as an experiment. And then drop them down, and then coming up onto tiptoes, so lifting the heels right up, high as you can go up onto the tiptoes. And then back down. And now we're going to make some circles with our heels. So we're going to be coming up onto tiptoes. We're keeping our feet a hip distance apart, coming up onto tiptoes and drawing circles up and down with the heels. So from this way, it's looking like this. So just experiment, doesn't matter. You might be doing tiny little circles like this. You might be coming all the way and doing large circles like this. The point is that we're working with the feet and the toes and with balance. And we're encouraging our feet to work in a different way and to become aware of our feet in a different way. And we're also using our calf muscles here. And muscles, we're using muscles that we might use all the time, but using them in a different way. And then we're going to come and do that with a wider stance and a more of an exaggerated movement. So we're still drawing circles with the heels, but we're coming right up and round. And see if you can work to breathing in as you come up and out as you're down and across the mat. And then change directions. And again, see if you can come up really high, really, really work with those calves to bring some height, and then come down, up all the way and then down. And change direction again. And let's change direction one more time. And then shake out the legs. Let that all go, let the body reset. Maybe wiggle the knees a little bit too. And then bringing the feet right together, knees together, shoulders down, standing tall. A couple of deliberate breaths here, noticing the connection between the feet and the earth. Making sure that your spine is in a neutral position, not sticking the bottom out, not tucking too much, just hanging in a neutral position, shoulders hanging loose, face relaxed, breath steady and even. And then taking a breath in, bringing the hands up, looking up, And then breathing out, bringing the hands to heart and then bending the knees to come down into a chair position, but a chair position with our knees together. Allow the breath to come and go. Keep the face and shoulders relaxed. Notice the connection between the hands and the fingertips and the knees and the feet. Draw up on the pelvic floor. Keep your gaze soft. Couple more breaths here. And then we'll come to twist round, gently twisting round. Couple of breaths here. Your legs might start to be feeling a little heated now, maybe a little bit wobbly. That's fine. And then breathing out to exchange to come to do that on the other side. Keep the eyes soft, the gaze soft. And then breathing to the other side, and this time opening the arms out wide. Space in the chest, shoulder blades pulling together. And then breathing out, coming to do that on the other side. A couple of breaths. And then bring the hands back together to the heart. And then just noticing the thumbs as they connect to that chest space area, the heart area, just noticing that connection. Maybe noticing your heartbeat. And staying here, closing your eyes. Noticing the heat in the legs. And maybe that desire to stop. Notice you can have the desire to move, but you can also stay. And then open the eyes, drop the hands, and then swoop the hands up, straighten the legs, look up, come up onto tiptoes. And then breathe out, bring the hands down, and then shake out the legs, both sides. And then again, whatever feels good, you might want to just shake out the hips a little, really roll the shoulders, just encourage that sensation of letting go of the tension that we just built into the body. So whatever feels like a good way to do that. And then we're going to come into doing some sun salutes. Actually, I'm going to go on this side. So just our regular classical sun salutes today, and obviously I will guide you through them. But coming to the top of your mat, and we'll do a nice slow steady round to begin with. So starting with the feet to hip distance apart, toes facing forwards, hips facing forwards, body tall, back of the neck long, and taking the hands in prayer at the heart, face relaxed, just making a note of the start of the salute. And then dropping the hands to the side, and then we're taking a breath in, reaching up, looking up, slight back bend. And then breathing out, reaching forwards, folding at the hips, hands coming down to mat. Taking a breath in, step back with the right foot into a low lunge. And we hold the breath into a plank, or you can have your knees down. And then we breathe out, coming down to the knees, chest, chin to floor, elbows tight against the body. Breathing in, scooping up. And then breathing out, tucking the toes, lifting the hips, downward dog. Then let's stay here and just walk the feet. Pushing down with the heels. Making sure you're spreading out the fingers. Every finger pressing down into the mat, Hips being pulled up to sky. Feet parallel, knees parallel. Space in the shoulders. And then taking a breath in, and the right foot's coming between the hands into a low lunge. And then breathing out, stepping the left foot to join it into that forward fold. And then breathing in, scooping up. Back bend, looking up. Breathing out, hands to chest, drop the shoulders. Few breaths here. Now, as usual, if the breathing instructions are stressful and you find it hard to follow the breath, just breathe in your own time, especially when we do the slower rounds where it might not be that there's enough breaths for you. When we go faster, it's actually easier to follow the breathing. So we'll carry on with the left side, still going fairly slowly. So dropping the hands, and then breathing in, reaching up, back bend. Breathing out, folding at the hips, hands to mat. Breathing in, left foot back into that low lunge, drive the hips forwards and down. Holding the breath into a plank. And then breathing out, dropping the knees, chest, chin to floor, elbows tight. Breathing in, scooping up into that cobra. And then breathing out, tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward dog. Then breathing in, left foot between the hands, low lunge. Breathing out, right foot comes to join it. And then breathing in, reaching up. And then breathing out, hands to heart. Few breaths here. Notice the heart rate starting to pick up, perhaps. Perhaps the breath as well, feeling a bit more lively. And as we continue to practice, just make a note with yourself to keep lifting the pelvic floor, making some deliberate intention to work the core, drawing that belly button back, engaging the abs. And let's do a faster round. So dropping the hands, breathing in, reaching up, looking up. Breathing out, reaching forward, folding at the hips, hands to mat. Breathing in, right foot back, low lunge, drive the hips down. Hold the breath into plank. Breathing out, drop the knees, chest, chin to floor. Breathing in, scooping up. Breathing out, downward dog. Breathing in, right foot comes forward, low lunge. Breathing out, left foot comes to join it into that forward fold. And then breathing in, scooping up. Breathing out, hands to heart. Couple of breaths here. And dropping the hands. Reaching up. Breathing out, reaching forwards, folding at the hips, hands to mat. Breathing in, left foot back into the low lunge. Hold the breath into plank. Breathing out, folding, chest, knees, chin to floor. Breathing in, scooping up. Breathing out, downward dog. Breathing in, left foot comes to the low lunge. Breathing out, right foot comes to join. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, hands to heart. Allow the breath to settle. Check in with the spine. Sun Salute's all about waking up the spine, moving the spine in all directions. And then getting ready for a next round, a little bit faster, perhaps a few less instructions. So dropping the hands, breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, reaching forwards and down. Breathing in, right foot back, low lunge. Hold the breath into plank. Breathing out, knees, chest, chin to floor. Breathing in, scooping up, elbows tight. Breathing out to dog. Breathing in, right foot between the hands, low lunge. Breathing out, left foot comes to join. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, hands to heart. Drop the hands. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, reaching forwards, hands come down, forward fold. Breathing in, left foot back, low lunge. Hold the breath into plank. Breathing out, knees, chest, chin to floor. Breathing in, scooping up. Breathing out, downward dog. Breathing in, left foot between the hands. Breathing out, right foot to join it. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, hands to heart. Close your eyes. Now the breath to settle. Notice the rise and fall of the shoulders and the chest. Just check in with your toes. Just notice them, notice how they feel. Balls of the foot. Notice the warmth between the feet and the earth. And then opening your eyes, dropping the hands down. And again, just rolling the shoulders, moving the hips in a way that feels good, like you're loosening them up, releasing any tension that you might have built in through the practice. And I'm going to come in to do some warrior 1 and warrior 3 practice. And we're going to start very simply with our feet a hip distance apart and not worrying too much about the shape that we're making. We're going to build some heat into the body by stepping back into an approximation of a warrior 1. So our back leg is straight, front knee is bent, hips are forwards, feet are forwards, but hands we're keeping down and straight in front of us. Fingers are spread out as though we're holding our imaginary beach ball. And then stepping up and then back and then up and then back. So we're just doing this to build in some heat to the body, working with the legs, the glutes as well, and with the arms, keeping them here. And you're working with some speed, but steadiness as well, as you keep the hips facing forwards. And work almost as if you were balancing a book on top of your head and you don't want it to topple off. So we're not just flinging ourselves about. We're working with steadiness. And then next time your left foot is back, hold it, and then drop that foot down, the heel down if that's comfortable for you, and so long as it means your hips can keep facing forwards. Otherwise, stay up. And then we'll come into the full warrior 1, so we're going to be raising our hands up and looking up. Maybe sink down further into it. A bit more of a back bend perhaps, if that's comfortable. Steady here. Perhaps enjoying that steadiness after the dynamic movement. And then breathing out, bring the arms down And then we'll ease into a warrior 3 balance. So transferring our weight onto the leading foot. And then this leg is going to straighten. And now if you're not feeling very, I'm trying to think of a better word, balancy, this morning you can go and adjust yourself so you've got something to hold on to here. Or you can keep this leg down and just experiment with lifting and tapping it back down again. But to come into warrior 3, we're coming into that kind of seesaw position where the body is in line with the leg, but we're keeping our hips square with the mat. So you might want to hold onto the wall here or a chair and experiment with bringing the body into balance, but not to the extent of opening out. Everything is facing down and forwards. She says, not doing it herself. So looking down, arms by the ears, lifting up, keeping the hips square. Keep lifting. Keep focusing on that point on the mat. And if you are holding onto a wall or a chair, just experiment with lifting the fingers off and on perhaps. And if you don't have a chair or wall handy, then you're down here and you're maybe just experimenting with lifting and tapping the toe on the floor. Maybe one more breath in and out here. And then bring the back foot down to join the front. And again, shaking out the legs, shaking out hips. Doing whatever feels right before we come to try and do that on the other side. So finding your starting position. Feet are a hip distance apart. Can't really change the distance between your hips. So maybe a couple of breaths before we start. And then we'll start with that dynamic movement. So the arms are staying up. We're staying holding onto our imaginary beach ball. The shoulders are down. And then we're stepping back and forwards and back and forwards. And we've got our imaginary book balancing on our head. If you want to be fancy, you can actually go and grab a book and put it on your head. So keep moving with steadiness, but with a dynamic focus as well. So noticing how your muscles are helping to push you up on the exchange. The core's keeping you steady, your core's enabling you to balance that book on your head and to keep the hips facing forwards. And this time we're coming to use, to keep the opposite leg to last time. I think it was left last time, wasn't it? So bringing the other leg back, and again, bringing that heel down if you're still able to keep the hips forwards when you're doing that, otherwise keep it up. And then coming into the full warrior 1 position, looking up, slight back bend, or more of a back bend if that's comfortable for you and you enjoy creating that kind of crescent position. We're not all perhaps ready for that, or we'll never be ready for that. But sinking into it, keep drawing the hips forwards and down, looking up, steady breaths here. Noticing the breath might have picked up quite a pace. And then bringing the hands down and get ready to come into that warrior 3 practice. So transferring the weight onto the leading leg, finding yourself a wall, sofa, chair, if that helps you come into the balance. And if you don't have the chair and you need to work on your balance, then you keep the leg down and just lift But it is nice if you have the wall to help you, because then you can really come into that feeling of being able to stretch out long. So keeping the gaze down, the spine straight and long. We're not opening, we're not twisting. The hips are square with the floor, quite literally as though you were a seesaw. And then aiming to get the arms by the ears. Steady breaths. And it's fine if you're falling out of the balance and then coming back in. And then everybody bringing that foot down, and again, shaking out the hips, the shoulders, whatever feels good. And then I think we're ready for a little bit of a rest. So coming down onto your mat, and to begin with, let's just bring the knees in for a bit of a hug. Easing out any tension in the lower back, mid back, upper back, just rolling that tension out through into the earth beneath you. And let's just straighten our legs out for a minute, palms up to sky, and just allow yourself for a few moments just to completely flop. Close your eyes, relax the face, relax the belly, relax the ankles, relax the tongue. Just a few moments here. Allowing the body to regroup, the breath to settle. And then bringing the feet together and reaching the arms above the head, and have a long stretch. Make yourself as long as you can possibly be. And then again, bring the knees in for another hug, rocking side to side. And then rolling onto your side and just using your hands to push you up. And we're going to come to a seated position. We're going to come to practice some diamond posture. We're going to make a diamond shape with our legs and our feet. So we're sitting up tall, keep your gaze steady, and a head slight tuck of the chin, keeping the spine long. And then to begin with, we can just bring the soles of our feet together, but keeping so we're not coming into butterfly, we're just keeping our knees up. And we're just turning our attention to our core and how our core is working to keep the knees up here. So perhaps just a couple of breaths here before we go into the next stage, where we're going to start to lift the feet up off the floor, keeping the soles of the feet together, keeping that gaze ahead, keeping the shoulders down. And at this point, you might want to put your hands through the legs here and hold on to the ankles for some support. So to show you that from there, my hands have threaded through here, threaded through and holding here. And this helps draw my shoulders down as well, and helps me to keep my spine nice and long. So then you can work a little bit more with the core and with the legs by bringing the feet up high, and this is where we get the diamond shape with our legs. So the knees and the toes are the points of the diamond, and our hips too. So keep it here, and then experiment just to see if you can keep lifting those feet, make that diamond a bit broader, a bit taller, and always keep that spine long, face relaxed. And then if you want to, from here, you can experiment with straightening out the leg, one leg. This is not easy for me. This is so terrible at anything that involves straightening out legs. I'm terrible at. And then bring it in, and then the other leg, straighten it out, but make sure you're not wobbling to compensate. See if you can maintain the structure of the diamond, of one half of the diamond. So imagine that diamond's not, that half of the diamond is not changing at all. It's just the other half of it is straightening out. And then bringing the feet back to meet. Let's do that again. Straightening or semi-straightening if it's me. And then back. And then straightening. Staying steady and tall. And then back. And then let's just hold that position. Don't worry if that whole while you've still been down here and you haven't been lifting your feet up, that's fine. And if you are down here, then you can still practice. I should have pointed that out earlier. You can straighten the legs out from down here or just a little way up, and perhaps you keep tapping now and then. So just work to what feels like enough of a challenge for you. And then let's all make our way back down to the mat. I'm going to roll down in my diamond shape, but you can just ease yourself gently whichever way you want to, but feel free to join me by easing down vertebra by vertebra, maintaining that diamond shape. And then we can come into a version of happy baby where we're just allowing our legs to, you know, as a baby, literally as a baby, just lies on their back and plays with their feet. And so this is great for easing out tension in the back, just allowing the legs to hang here, face relaxed. Just staying here for a few breaths. And then bringing the arms out wide, palms down. Let's just straighten our legs now, press the feet up to the sky. Engage the core. Push, push, push with those feet. And then deliberately bring those feet a little closer to the head. So really working with the tops. So the knees are drawing down, you're really engaging these muscles here. And then the other way, bringing the feet lower, and then you'll see that your core has to work a bit harder here. And then drawing the feet over to one side. You'll notice that one side of your core is now working harder. And then the other side. And then back to center. And then bring the knees in. And then see if you can roll up back to sitting, vertebra by vertebra. Up we go, springing up, shoulders down. And then we are going to come into a butterfly now. So we've got our feet together, knees wide, holding onto the toes, shoulders down, and then drawing the knees down steadily, leaning a little bit forwards here, gazing down, forwards and down, face relaxed. Keep drawing the knees down. Keep encouraging them down. Encourage the breath to really fill the belly. So perhaps an exaggerated belly breath in, belly floating or inflating, sorry, like a balloon. Kind of breathing you wouldn't want anyone to see you doing naked. So you're really making that belly fill up and go round. And then letting all the breath leave the body. All the while still encouraging those knees down. And then from here, keeping in that forward folding position, let's just straighten the legs out. And then just rest our hands on the top of the feet, the hand, the legs. And then close your eyes. Keep with the idea of that belly inflating big like a balloon. Maybe just surrender the head a little bit more. Staying in that forward folding position. Really allowing the face to relax, the jaw to soften. And really working to that sense of surrendering. So you're not just surrendering to anything, you're surrendering to the earth. And you're surrendering down into yourself. So you're not doing this from a place of weakness, but of a recognition that you must surrender and be held. And then breathing out, rolling up, opening the eyes, vertebra by vertebra. And then bringing your hands behind you. We're going to come into a tabletop position. So we're lifting the hips off the floor. We're making that flat tabletop shape, gazing forwards, gazing directly in front. Keep lifting the hips. So you're making it like someone could put a cup of tea on your belly and it would stay there. So we're keeping our hips parallel to the floor. So you can stay here and just hold this posture. To make it more challenging, we're going to straighten the left leg out, but making sure that we're not tipping down on the left side. Couple of breaths here. And then bringing that foot down. Take a breath. And balance on the other side. So you still want to be holding that cup of tea on your belly. So do everything you can to keep that belly flat and parallel with the floor. Little micro movements to keep you steady. Keep the face relaxed. And then bringing that foot down. And then from here, on our next out breath, we're going to bring the hips down and swing them between the hands, but we're not touching the floor. And then breathing in, back to tabletop. Breathing out, hips down, between the hands, using the core, breathing in, straightening out, stretching out the core. Breathing out, keep your gaze in front. So like this, straight ahead. Breathing out. You can make an exaggerated breath out. Breathing in. And let's stay down here. Let's draw the knees in. Let's have a hug. Drop the head, back of the neck, stretch. Squeeze. And release. And then let's come into a seated twist. So we've got one leg down and the other over. We're sitting up tall. So you've got this triangular shape here. The spine is tall, and you can see that my hips are both down into the mat. So you can stay here and you can just come into a very gentle twist to begin with. If you're finding that this position with the legs is not possible for you for whatever reason, then by all means just come into a gentle seated twist, if that works better for you this morning. But otherwise, coming into this twist with this more of a stretch down the side of the legs here. So coming round, and we twist round on the out breath. Keeping the shoulders down. And so with every out breath, just twist a little more. Just easing yourself around. Keep the chin tucked so the back of the neck remains long, the spine remains long. That you're not hunching to get further round. It's better just to stay less twisted and more upright. That's good life advice as well. And then if you want to come into the bind, if you're feeling super twisty this morning, you can take the hand through, demonstrate, and then the other hand comes around to hold it. And that helps you come into an even deeper twist, but not at the sacrifice of bending the spine, hunching the spine. So wherever you are, just a few more breaths here. And then breathing out, unclasping the hands if they were clasped together. Maybe rolling the shoulders before we come to do that on the other side. And of course, by all means, do the simple seated cross-legged twist. So staying or starting, I've got the hips down into the mat. I've got one leg down, knees coming down in front, the other one's folded, and then the other leg is coming up and the foot is coming up and over that knee. Sitting upright. And then breathing out, starting to work round into that twist, keeping the chin tucked, back of the neck long, belly button drawing right back to the spine to make plenty of room to twist round. And then twisting on the out breath, keeping the shoulders down, keeping the face relaxed, perhaps even the eyes closed. And then if you want to come into the bind, taking the hand, scooting it through that gap in the top leg. I'll show you. So my hand is there and this one comes around to hold it. And the spine stays long and keep twisting round. So whichever version you're doing, just keep twisting on the out breath until you feel settled and that you're as far as you want to go. Then let's just stay there for a few breaths. Eyes closed. And then open your eyes. And again, on the out breath, ease round and out of the twist. And today we're going to finish just with a seated practice because I do have to finish on bang on past today. That sounds like I'm going to make you rush relaxation, which doesn't sound very conducive, but just trust me. So just taking yourself into a seated, comfortable position, chucking on a layer. You can feel the effects. You've done some slow movement with those twists, so your body temperature has probably started to drop. And then closing your eyes when you're settled, whenever you're ready. And just notice or make the inquiry as to how different your body is feeling after our practice. Perhaps notice your relationship with your breath. We've taken some time to pay attention to our breath and observe it and work with it. Something that we don't tend to do in the rest of our day-to-day lives. And yet the benefits of doing it can be quite astounding. That feeling of noticing ourselves and noticing our feelings. And just perhaps realizing how little we actually turn in and check in on ourselves. And then how nice it is that we've at least got this time every week to look after ourselves in that way. So taking a very deliberate full breath in, and then a super long, generous, steady out breath where all the breath leaves the body. Making that out breath a little bit longer. And then allowing the in breath to fall in. And then again, the out breath, out it goes. Taking with it tension, everything we don't need, leaving the body. And then the in-breath falls in, giving us everything that we do need. We don't even have to make that happen. The body breathes itself. And just a couple of moments, just allowing the breath to come and go exactly as it pleases. No deliberately extending the out breath or anything like that. Just invite it just to come and go just as it wants. And then you can open your eyes and then just taking a breath in, reaching up. And as you breathe out, bring the hands together in a prayer position at the heart. And just acknowledge the end of the practice. Say thank you to yourself for taking time to look after yourself in this way. And that is it for today. So, as ever, thank you so much for joining me. It's such a pleasure. And obviously, I will be in touch when I know more about when we can meet in real life and all that kind of stuff and how that might work. But just finding my end of recording button. I will see you one way or another next week. Thank you so much. Bye.